welcome to FDT-TV. This is our weekly podcast where we chat all things football, especially for our home teams of Liverpool, Arsenal and West Ham. Joining me, Phil, today we have
Mike.
And me, I'm Ian.
Hey! Today we'll be talking about the best goal of the weekend. We got a one good, one bad, maybe a bit of VAR controversy. Was there some at the weekend? We never know. Score updates and predictions for the games ahead this week.
Mm-hmm. And then Alb. Any other business.
And then any other business.
Oh, I thought that was Al Bamiyang isn't scoring any goals. That's what I thought that was.
Sign a new contract, retire.
Get on with it.
Oh, do you want an intro?
Yes.
Please.
Goal of the week. There you go.
Love that. Absolutely love that, hearing that. So, goal of the weekend. We had three choices today. We had Danny Welbeck against Brighton, running in sort of half the pitch, destroying the other team before a nice, cool, calm finish over the top of the keeper, especially as it's Jordan Pickford. Then we had Sebastian Haller with his only goal for West Ham in how long?
It's his second goal of the season in the league.
Yeah.
He scored about 5 in the cup.
It's made West Ham's fans go absolutely crazy for him. And then we have Tammy Abraham with his wonderful goal for Chelsea, which I thought was a pretty good finish. Any special mentions?
Solly March.
Yes.
That was my favourite. I love a little smash in the top corner from outside the box. My sort of goal.
Yeah, it was. Bent it perfectly as well. Decore as well, I thought, was a cracker.
I didn't see that one.
Also, Jota, I thought, was a cracking goal. But the honourable of honourable mentions to Johnny Evans. What a cracking header. Absolutely nailed it. Oh, mate, even if that was an own goal, I would have been celebrating that. I'd have been running up the pitch, Alan Shearer-esque, arms out, lovely jubbly. So, Phil, tell us what the winner was.
The winner, and it has to be 1-1, and with 60% of the votes was Sebastian Haller. And the West Ham fans go... They go mental.
We'll go mental. Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, just to go back to your point, Danny Welbeck, who scored against Emi Martinez.
Yes.
Oh, was it?
Not Pickford.
Oh.
Yeah. And didn't those two must know each other quite well?
Who?
Emi Martinez and Danny Welbeck.
I was going to say Emi Martinez and Pickford.
Well, they might be. No, but they both played at Arsenal together, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of them played, the other sat on the bench. But they would have trained together, so he must have. I think there was a laugh had about the being dinked after the match. I'm sure.
Do you know what? I was so happy for Danny Welbeck because he had a bit of a injury plague time at us, and I did feel really bad for him. Obviously, picked up a few serious injuries at Watford as well, and it's good to see him. Hopefully, this kind of kicks on for him as well. Because I do like Danny Welbeck.
He's one of them, isn't he? I think he's a good player that's never going to be great because he's injury stricken, which is a shame because he's he just seems like a nice chap. That would have been good potential. He's like 28, 29, isn't he?
If he hadn't been injured, his career would have been immense.
Yeah.
He would have gone on to bigger and better things than Arsenal.
Well, he was at Manchester United, wasn't he, when they was on top of the world? So.
What did he really do there? Over. So, one good, one bad.
One good, one bad.
That's all you're getting.
Yes, one good, one bad. So we start in game order.
Yeah, go on in.
Ian, you went first on this one.
To say you one good, one bad. It's like the Premier League is pay-per-view until I decide to scrap it in a month, and then you can have some for free. One good, we won the game. One bad, Haller scored. And let me explain. Sebastian Haller is a lazy player and does not work for the team much as the rest of the squad are doing at the moment. He scored in cup games against League One Championship opposition, or former Championship opposition. I think they're both in League One now, which is fine. He should be. He's on ridiculous amounts of money. He's a record signing. He should be scoring for fun. In the Premier League, he is useless because he doesn't move. He has a lack of movement. He has a lack of work ethic. Yes, he can finish a ball. We know that. But there's much more to being a Premier League striker than being able to finish. So the fact that last week everyone was calling him for be binned off, don't even put him in a squad, don't put him on the bench, get in a substitute, put Ben Rama up top, put Yarmolenko up top if Antonio is still unfit. So the fact that he's now got a goal and the very fickle West Ham fan base are now calling him like Messiah, from the things that are being said on Twitter, you would have thought he was Robert Lewandowski. He's not. He scored the goal because he was too lazy to get forward, and it fell to him, and he just hit it. I don't think there was any intention in direction of it. He just toe poked it, and it went in. It went top bins. So, so that's my bad because now he's going to get a lot more time to carry on in the team and be on the bench. If he'd missed that, then everyone would have been calling for his head and David Moyes' head, because you're playing a striker that can't score, that doesn't contribute anything. So because he's now scored, it's like, oh, he's the next best thing. And then next week he'll be rubbish again, and everyone will say he's rubbish and go, oh, well, make your mind up. He's either good enough or he's not. But that's why my one bad is a positive in a certain respect.
Yeah,
I like that we won, but not how we won.
Because you don't want to have Moyes picking Haller over Antonio, would you?
I don't think that will ever happen. What he said is Antonio, he's had a number of hamstring issues in recent years, and he doesn't want to rush him back. So, which is good, because that means we're actually managing injuries this time round rather than just going for it and going, oh, we'll figure that out later. So that's a positive. He's back training. There was rumours that he would be back in for Sheffield United, but he said he's not quite ready yet. So we can keep him fit. He does more than just score goals.
Beast.
But yeah, rant over.
Mike. Arsenal, how'd they get on with Leeds? Good, one bad, if that's possible.
So I'll start with the bad first. The bad point, there's kind of two parts, so I know it's kind of stretching the one good, one bad rule, but the bad for us is, it's another game without goals, or where chances have been very few and far between. Very few shots on target, very few shots in total in general. However, I think yesterday we can attribute that to the fact that Nicolas Pepe got sent off. So my one bad is Pepe getting sent off. We saw a change in the formation yesterday. Fans have been calling for a change of the formation. We did the best we could yesterday in terms of the starting 11. Due to injuries and COVID crisis and all that sort of stuff. So I think we've done the best that we could do. And then at the start of the second half, Pepe and I can't remember how to pronounce this guy's name, having a bit of a scuffle on the halfway line.
Alioski.
Thank you. There you go. There's one that I can't pronounce.
Yep.
We go at the other end of the pitch, and you see the replay that they showed on Sky, and turns around and sticks his head into Alioski's face.
Yep.
Is that right?
Correct. Alioski, yeah.
Yep. sticks his head in his face, and the guy goes down like he's been shot. Granted, it is within his rights to do that. Pepe shouldn't have done that. He got sent off, so it saw us play 45 minutes, included added on time with 10 men, and therefore the game plan had to change. For long periods of the game, Leeds were kind of in our faces a lot. They had quite a few chances, which then leads us on to the one good. Our man of the match performance yesterday was the goal. Absolutely amazing player. I think we should definitely sign him. I can't believe how lucky we were yesterday with the goalkeeper. The goal denying the goal opportunities that Leeds had. They must have hit the woodwork 5-6 times. Granted, we had 1 or 2 chances, one at the crossbar, but Leeds were absolutely brilliant yesterday. I think they deserved to win. We were appalling again, but I think 11v11 would have been a different story. So yeah,
praise the woodwork.
Yeah, my one bad. Pepe was rubbish. The team were rubbish, but the one good was the man of the match performance from the goal.
It's a bit of a rookie error from Pepe, really, wasn't it? Falling for that. That's footballing 101, isn't it?
There was obviously something going on in the first half as well, because you wouldn't just blow up like that from one little scuffle. Do you know what I mean?
No. I think every time he went to run past him, he was on him and he was touching him and grabbing him, pulling him, and I imagine there was a few words back and forth as well.
I would be interested to see, because from watching the boss yesterday, he was absolutely spitting feathers. He was not happy at all, and we saw what happened with Guendouzi after the incident at Brighton, and I would be interested to see for what disciplinary action he takes from Pepe. Does he get he's obviously left out the squad now for the next 3 games, which is a shame, because potentially he could have done something to the defences, either run them a bit ragged.
There's some big games coming up as well, Mike, which is even worse for you.
But I've said it before, I'll say it again. He's so inconsistent. Will we really miss him?
No,
and that's being honest. But yeah,
I think Freddie Lundberg summed it up quite well yesterday, where he said that he is inconsistent and he's the only one who can change that. He's now got a chance in the squad and he's hindered his own development. And I think he hit the nail on the head there. I mean, again, as you said, Guendouzi's been sent out on loan. Ozil, who has never headbutted anybody, as far as I know, is frozen out the squad completely. So the fact that it's all right, you got a point out of it, but it's cost you potentially 2 points and a lot of squad depth. There's got to be some repercussion from it, hasn't there? I'd imagine. Would you think he'll freeze him out completely, or for like a good couple of months, maybe till the new year, or?
I think in the 23s.
I think it's very much going to depend on the rest of the squad, where we are with injuries and stuff like that, because they might not have a choice to play him until they can do I think they can change again in January, can't they?
Where they can, 1st of January.
So you never know. That might be it for him this season, and we may see the introduction of Ozil in the second half of the season, because it's very evident that we're lacking creativity. We've got a guy on the bench, not even on the bench. We've got a guy in the squad who is not playing any football. And I think if he was brought into the team again, it's going to take him possibly 3-4 games to get up to match fitness. But I think he will be instrumental in the second half of the season.
I don't think he'll play for you, and even if they register him, I think he'll refuse to play.
I don't think he will. I think if the only reason I say that is because he goes on about how much he loves the club. He committed his future to the club 4 years ago by signing that big money deal. Over the recent bad press that he's been getting, he's been going on about, or even his statement that he put out just after he was left or omitted from the squad. he said that he loves the club and it's just he values the club, but it's just a shame that it's not reciprocated. So I think if he gets the chance to, I think
well, a little bit like prove the doubters wrong sort of thing.
Yes, yeah. So okay. I think it's going to be split because there are the Ozil haters and there are the Ozil lovers. I'm one of the lovers. I think it's outstanding, and I do think it was stupid leaving him out. I think if you go back to earlier podcasts, we've spoken about this a few times, and I've quite openly said I think it's a stupid mistake from leaving him out of the squad. But we don't know what goes on in the background.
No.
Is he not training hard enough? Is there a bit of bad blood in the dressing room? Wenger come out and said it. He's not the sort of player that will do the tracking back, so he doesn't really fit into the Mikel Arteta way. Obviously, he had issues under Emery because Emery left him out. But he's such a key player. He can put in key passes. He can change a game.
You think if he comes in the second half of the season and gets 20 assists, which he's more than capable of doing, it's
new contract.
Well, I don't think he'd get a new contract, but then that's a sort of a sit down, isn't it?
If
I'm the man.
The only way he'll get another contract is if there's a significant pay decrease, and depending if he plays again, how he plays in the second half of the season. But we've also spoken about the potential damaging of reputation of the club with overseas investors or overseas opportunities.
I can see him going back to Germany.
I can see him go to America.
Possibly.
If you look at some of the MLS clubs, I've already saw something a couple of weeks ago actually about him being touted to go out to America.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
He can get the same sort of money out there because the American franchise is growing in terms of its stature in America. There's a lot of money to be made over there. I think he'd go out there, and I think it would suit his lifestyle.
Yeah, quite possibly. But
yes, that's my one good, one bad. Sorry to waffle on.
It's all right. It's Arsenal after all. Right, on to the best game of the weekend. Liverpool took on Leicester.
Definitely won the best game.
Nowhere near.
I think it was. We won. Yeah, absolutely smashed them. Yeah, my one good out of this game, wherever I put it, is that we scored 3 and kept a clean sheet. Woohoo! Something to celebrate, seeing as we have a makeshift defence, lots of injuries. Our 2 main centre backs that we've had for most of the season have been basically killed in action.
May rest in peace.
and Joe Gomez.
Don't care about him.
It's fine. Yes, so no, it was good. A good result for us. My one bad is Naby Keita took a little injury, so another one to add to the list of about 13 and 14 players that we've got injured at the moment. It's ridiculous. But to get a result at Leicester, for them to come here and just absolutely outplay them, keep Vardy quiet, happy with that any day of the week.
Question for you. If that was the away leg, would you see it as a different game? And secondly, you only scored 2 goals.
Yeah, we only did score 2.
Go back to
missed many more. We missed so many more. Like Bobby Firmino, how did he not score sooner? He had about 3 chances.
Well, I heard that Leeds see Bobby Firmino hit the post and put in a £50 million bid.
That's key for a Leeds player.
If you can't hit the post, you can't play.
Fuck it. I like that. That's not saying over.
Jesus.
I'm knocking over baby stuff, don't worry. It's nothing special.
Okay.
But back to your question. Away result, I don't think so, because last year we went away and beat them 4-0, and when they come to Anfield, we just won 2-1. So I don't think it makes too much of a difference, especially in this day and age where there's no fans. The atmosphere is not there. So when teams come to your grounds, they can't feel the intimidation of all the fans. It's not there. So it's going to be different no matter what happens.
I think Leicester didn't turn up yesterday. I think that was a real off, especially for how they've been playing this year. I think that was uncharacteristic of them. I do think they tried to play the occasion rather than the match, and it all went peeped on. Would be my thoughts on it.
They've done this a few times here. I think they turn up at Man City, win 5-2. Next game, they do terrible. Yeah. They seem to be run hot and cold. They just can't find that consistency that's needed. Yeah,
I think they're still ahead on points from where they were when they won the Premier League title, and I think they will still be there or thereabouts. But yeah, I think you are correct. It is a matter of consistency rather than quality.
So they're only 2 points behind you, and as much as this pains me to say, Spurs are on top currently.
But deservedly so. The only people they can't beat is us.
Again, it pains me to say yes. I think they've recruited well this year. I think Harry Kane's playing a completely different role to what he usually plays. I know he's the number 9, but you see him in most of the games that I've seen where he drops fairly deep to win the ball back. Has got an absolutely amazing pass on him. Mm-hmm. Some of the goals that he set up for Son and the like, I think he's been. I think I like him as a player better this year than I have seen him as an out-and-out striker. Yeah. I know he is an out-and-out striker, but do you know what I mean? He seems to be a more rounded player this year.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
He's getting so many more assists.
Yeah, he's a more complete package now, isn't he? Where see, this is the thing, is I don't like Harry Kane playing for England because of the elbows and the spitting, and he gets away with it because he's England's talisman. And I think off the pitch, he is a genuinely nice guy, and it's one of those where you see soon between the start of the game and the end of the game, he's a complete animal.
Yeah,
which is sort of what you want to see in your players. They will do everything to win. So I understand it to a certain extent, but where people go, oh, he's up there with your Messis and your Ronaldos. Well, if he before, I would have said not a chance. Now he's becoming that more complete player, and he is able to do the assists and drop in deeper and do more of that stuff. I think there's more of an argument for saying he's one of the best in the world, because he's not just scoring goals, he's providing goals and he's setting up play for other things to happen. That's what having the world's greatest manager does for you.
A special
and
one.
Also, getting rid of Dele Alli from the team, I think that's made a big difference for Tottenham.
Yes, I still think Dele Alli could provide something there. I personally think that's more of a power play by Mourinho, showing I'm in charge. I don't care who you are. You can be the most marketable player ever. If you're not doing what I want you to do, you ain't playing.
We did the same with, was it Mata as well, didn't he?
Yep.
When he was at Chelsea, I think he even did it at Man United.
Did it Man United? Yeah. Yeah, Mata playing really well, and then he stopped playing really well, and that was it. He's done. It's proved to me that you're going to do better. And there's not many managers who have got the front to do that. I mean, an example of that, I would say this season, is Kevin De Bruyne. What's he done this year? They've got lots of midfielders and some really good young midfielders. What's he done to keep his place this year? Previously, yeah, well, it can be on his day one of the best in the world. But what's he done this year? But he's the first.
Oh, sorry, that backs up your argument. Right, yeah. Okay.
But he's the first. I can guarantee you, he's the first name on that team sheet.
But he's not performing.
He's not. That. Yeah, and but that's the thing. Pep won't drop him. And at some point, it will click, and his form will come back. But I think Mourinho would go the other way and go, "You're not performing. You're not playing. Let's put someone in there who may perform." Because actually,
they've
I know
got a big enough squad, haven't they?
Yeah, but he knows there's not enough time to make sure that happens. if I know he's just signed a new deal, if they're still 16th come December, the end of December, Pep's not in a job anymore. I can guarantee you that.
That did surprise me that they had signed him on a new contract, because they've obviously made the Champions League a priority, and granted, City have done okay in the Champions League, but ultimately they want to win it.
Yes.
I mean, potentially, do you see City sacrificing the league this year to do better in the Champions League? Because I think they did it a couple of years ago when they won the Premier League.
Yeah.
That they were fairly average in the Champions League. So do you think that that's the plan this year, that the league position doesn't matter as long as we do as long as they do well in the Champions League?
I would say yes to a certain extent. I don't know if you agree, Phil, but if they go right, if you finish 4th, it don't matter, providing you win the Champions League. If you win the Champions League and you finish 10th, okay, that's fine. You've still won the Champions League. You're still in it next year. Chelsea did that, didn't they? When they won it, they had a really poor season, but won the Champions League. If they finish poorly in the league, and that was partly the aim to be able to excel in the Champions League and the other cups, and they don't win them, then you're in a real quandary, because you're not in any. All right, you might be in the Europa League next year, but what a step down that is for one of the most expensive sort of sought-after clubs in the world to now be playing Europa League football.
Proper European football, hey?
Do you know what I mean? I think yours was a gradual decline with an end of an era from one of the best managers of all time. He's hard to replace, but from them being where they were, they've had a quick upshot and they've been dominant, to them being horrific is probably the best word to describe it. I don't know if any Manchester City fans can give me a better word, but this season they have been horrific in the league. If you don't pull out a cup, an FA Cup and League Cup double, and win the Champions League, surely that's a really bad season. Surely you're going to be wanting. We want someone who can win stuff. Get in Mourinho.
I was saying it's a very dangerous line, because if you're performing poor in the league, are they going to have that form to then and confidence to take into the Champions League for those big games? I mean, they're winning the small games, and they've done that for years and years and years. But when it comes to the crunch, they have never got past. They haven't got to a final yet.
No, I think you make a very good point there, Phil.
Screwing it up, and at the very end, they just make those small mistakes. I think last year they overcomplicated it and got destroyed. And dropped out. Then they've done that a couple of times where they just made it one or two mistakes, and that's where it comes down to it.
Well, they got to the semi-final, didn't they? And got knocked out by VAR. That Harry Kane goal, which shouldn't have been a goal, it was offside. But yeah, no, I think you're right. If they're performing badly in the league, how do you just? It's not like light switch, is it? How do you just turn it on for a Champions League night? If you're confident in the league, you're going to be playing well regardless. If you're playing badly and you've got, what 2 games to win, it's knockout, isn't it? You've got to be on form at every game. You can't have a bad game.
You've got to be 100% focused.
Exactly.
Every minute. Otherwise, you're screwed.
Oh, yeah.
Especially against some of those teams like Bayern, they'll just rip you.
Right. Anything else to say on that subject?
I was going to continuously go on to VAR. Did anyone see any good opportunities to bring out the good old VAR?
Yes. You're
I might not do.
Do your thing, man.
Bloody VAR! Bloody very person! VAR!
Do you know what?
That's not pre-recorded.
No, it cheers up my day every time that. So here's the thing, Manchester United. I know we have Liverpool, right? But Manchester United, their VAR results are just whatever Manchester United wants. Like, oh, you should have given away a penalty. Oh, no, you don't want that. No, we don't want to give away a penalty. Okay, we won't. Oh, you've got a penalty. Oh, make him retake it because he didn't score that one. Make up a reason. Then have another one. Oh, we scored that one. Yeah, that one's fine. I just...
stupid. And why are they doing hop, skip, and jump penalties? Oh.
I think we should talk about the first penalty decision in that game for West Brom. Originally given as a penalty, then obviously someone, or the VAR official, whoever the fuck that was, said, you might want to have a look at this. They've gone back. There was the slightest nicks on the ball, but I'd say the majority were the player. And I think it was just more the movement of the ball hitting Fernandez's leg as to why there was the contact for that. By the rules of the game, I can understand why it was potentially overturned. But if you were to watch that replay at full speed, that's a penalty. They've only seen the ball nicking the leg because of it's been slowed down. So that's contentious decision number one. I thought West Brom were robbed.
Yeah. That. What's your opinion on that film? I'm interested to hear.
I have seen them. Penalties being given left, right, and several actually this season where they've still got the ball slightly, even more than that, and taken the player out. Because if you've got to take the player out in the process and take away an opportunity of them from striking a goal, then it's a penalty. So even if the player is just about to shoot and you take the legs out and then you tap the ball, then yeah, still a penalty.
Okay. Interesting. If that was in your box, would you want it given as a penalty if it was against your team?
Who's that question to?
Either of you.
I've actually put this on my notes. I said, again, I would be annoyed if it was against me, but at the same time, I would be outraged if it wasn't given for me.
It screams of Masuaku and Mohamed Salah to me.
I thought that's where you were going.
There's a bit more of a touch with that than there was this. He didn't even touch the ball. He had to go through Salah to get to the ball. So that's a different thing.
The reason I say that is the reason I say that is because in both incidents there was contact with the player, but in both incidents there was also contact with the ball. That's why I was interested to see, because if you was like that, it shouldn't have been a penalty. Then okay, black, but you passed the test. But you only passed it by sitting on the fence and saying, well, in general, you didn't. But yeah, no, I think you're right. If it's given against you, then you go, well,
that's ridiculous.
That's harsh.
I don't even think it'd be harsh, but you'd go. You can see both sides of the coin there. If it's not given for you, then I think correctly you would feel robbed.
Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that brings me on to the second penalty decision of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, given for a handball. What are your thoughts on this decision?
Sorry, I was just. Is that a natural? Is that a natural position, or is that?
No, it's not. His arms wasn't in a natural position. He turned and had his arms up and out, which you can't do. If you're turning, arms down. But he was like.
I have a thing to you. If I ping a ball at you and tell you to miss it, where do your arms go?
Yeah.
No chance. No chance. If I ping a ball at you and you have to turn, your arms come out to get out of the way one way or another. I would have said that was natural arm position. I don't think there was an intent there to handball it.
I agree. And this is one of the things that gets me annoyed about this, is because they're always talking about the arms being in an unnatural position or a natural position. And I think you've just hit the nail on the head. There wasn't that much distance between the two players. Granted, I've seen it where there has been less distance,
yes,
but I've also seen it where there's been a greater distance and it hasn't been given. I think they were harshly done by that, because for me it looked like he was trying to get out of the way.
Yeah,
of that.
I can get if. Here's the thing: is when players are kicking the ball around, it doesn't look that quick. But when you look at the speeds of what they record the ball moving at, and it's like 30, 40 mile an hour, and you're 10 foot away, that's a blink of an eye. There's no. It looks slower on telly, much like car racing does. It looks a lot slower on a video or on a TV than it does actually real life. And for me, if he was to handball it, to stop the ball getting past him or to push it right out of the way, 100% handball. But the chances of seeing it and trying to react to move that arm out of the way because you know it's out there because you've just turned and you're off balance, to try and move it out of the way and successfully do so, your arm's going to be outside of a normal silhouette.
Well, we had a decision in our game yesterday where it was a potential handball. I went to VAR and they said no, it was too close. There was nothing he could have done about it. And I think if they can use that common sense, why can't they use it in every game? And it comes down to the same thing that we've discussed time and time again when it comes to VAR, that it's subjective.
Yes.
No two people are going to have the same opinion.
Well, there was one.
Did they refer this one to the screen as well, Mike? Because I know in this game there was quite a few who referred it to the screen and not actually make a decision.
I know they referred I know they looked at the screen for the keeper coming off the line, which he did jump off the line, but every keeper does. And I think that's silly. If you can jump off the line but part of your boot is still on it, then it's fine. If you come off and it's a millimetre off, you got to retake it. Well, you've either got to stay within the line of the goalposts or not. If you're jumping forward but leaving one leg trailing, that just suits taller people, doesn't it? With handball, I do have a West Ham one. And West Ham should have scored from it. Masuaku controlled the ball, fell over, and as he's falling over, not to get back up, but just in that, where you bumble and fumble over, he stroked the ball with his hand quite obviously and clearly and carried on running with it. Pinged the ball in, should have been a goal, but Sebastian Haller's rubbish, so it wasn't a goal. But had that been, like, they didn't mention it, didn't look at it, it went out for a corner, but realistically it should have been a free kick to, because there was a clear handball that was outside of the silhouette, so it doesn't follow in that natural correlation of
the consistency.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. But you think for turning at high speed to falling over, I would say they're both could be natural positions, because you are going to put your hands out to stop yourself falling over while you're running. But surely, if that's handball for turning, then it should have been handball against us for stroking the ball along the ground. Does that make sense?
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I've got a really great idea, Ian and Mike. I don't know if you'll agree to this, but they should scrap the handball rule and just chop every player's arms off, apart from the goalkeepers.
Well, no, actually, wasn't there a handball in the City Spurs game?
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
And
they scored the goal. They scored the goal, and it was very similar to the one that was given for Manchester United.
From here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw it.
It hit. It's here.
In that area.
Yeah.
Jesus trying to control it. It kind of was.
Yeah. To me,
there, wasn't it?
What they're saying is it for those of you listening, is it sort of what they're saying is it hit his upper bicep before his chest, but it was marginal. I felt the ball coming to here, which in terms of what they said is, and what I'm pointing at here is more shoulder than bicep. It's that real sort of that point where it comes on, and to me that's where it hit, which is allowed in the game. I wouldn't have said it gave them any real advantage. If anything, I would have said it was more of a disadvantage because it's not as controllable from that angle. If it was to hit his chest, you've got a lot more control in what you're doing there. If it's hitting his shouldery, bicepy, chesty area all at the same time, then it's likely to ping off in any direction, but you still tucked it away and they ruled it out. So yeah, you are correct.
I can't admit, actually, when I saw that, I was astounded that decision was given, but I did
Are you just saying that because it's if you're not, and you're not saying that just because it's Spurs?
Well, no, because when they already 2-0 up at that point anyway.
I think it was 1-0 up. So it would have drawn the game.
But yeah, I mean possibly, but I mean they can show different replays for various different positions. I mean he was in the box, so why couldn't they show us different positions so they could possibly clearly see where it hit first?
Yeah.
Or is that just like a complete leap of faith in?
But what they're saying is the shoulder and the very upper of the arm is acceptable. So there's no universal line being drawn. So that's again open to interpretation. Because what I would class as my upper arm, someone else would go, well, no, that's your shoulder. Someone else would go, well, no, that's the upper part of your upper arm. I would say your upper arm is from the elbow up. If you quite clearly elbowed it, I've played a lot of football and had balls hit my arms. Not once have I been able to have any great control or effect on it, other than elbowing it. At which point, yeah, it's quite clearly handball. It's you've if you're trying to control it, I'd go fair enough. If you want to have a go. Because it wasn't uncontested, was it?
Was it a clear and obvious
error
that it was handball?
No.
It wasn't clear and obvious. It was different. It was so marginal. It's a marginal thing that they're bringing out.
Pointed to the sleeve area. Oh yeah, it's handball. Oh, hang on a minute. If you're pointing there, that's allowed.
Yeah, but I think you've hit the nail on the head there. We go back to that term again. Clear and obvious, and they've seemed to have, what they've done now is they've dropped the error and gone to clear and obvious. But recently they've just gone, oh, just look at the screen, it'll be all right. But if they look at the screen and go, well, it's not clear and obvious, then just go with your decision. Ready for VAR.
So let's go on to some good news. Our predictions. How did we all get on, Mike, this week?
You did terribly. Just going back to the previous week, because we did have the
England-Iceland game, didn't we?
England-Iceland.
That was a 4-0 win. I haven't got that open. But yeah, you did all right. I think I said that was going to be a draw and whatever. So going into this week, you had Sheffield, West Ham, Leeds, Arsenal, Leicester, Liverpool, as we've already discussed. We all got a point in the first game, so we all had West Ham down for a win. Leeds, Arsenal, Phil was the only one I got a point on that one because he said it was going to be a draw.
I almost won. Almost. If that bloody post and Gabriel's ding-a-ling hadn't been part of that game.
Ding-a-ling.
It was great.
So, yeah.
Commitment. Play for the badge.
Phil, you're the only one that had a point out of that. And then the Liverpool-Leicester game, Ian, myself, and you, we said that we weren't. Oh, sorry, we thought that Leicester were going to win. But unfortunately, Liverpool did. So the points for this week, 1 point to you, Ian, 1 point to me, and 3 points to Phil. So coming on to the season totals. Ian, you are currently sitting on 17 points. Phil, you're on 18 points. And I only managed 3 points this week. So I am on 25.
Oh, you want room to relax, mate.
Yeah, I think I definitely did all right in the last couple of weeks. There was like a 10-point advantage at one point, but I just need to up my game again this week, which then leads us nicely onto this week's fixtures.
Mm-hmm. Who have we got? So we've got on Saturday we've got Brighton versus Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
On Sunday we've got Arsenal taking on Wolves. Mm-hmm. And on Monday, we have West Ham at home to Aston Villa, the battle of the Claret and Blues.
So, Phil, with your game being smashed, do you want to go first?
Yes, Brighton, Liverpool. So, Brighton have a lovely young player called Lamberty. I think he's been very impressive this year as a player. Quite strong in their attack and makes a difference. He's now going to be missing for a few games, so fantastic. Whoop, whoop. And to be fair, Brighton have been playing okay-ish. They've been scoring goals, but they've been just been missing things in the last few games. I think it could well be the tiredness and the amount of fixtures coming into it. Then we've got players returning. I think Thiago will actually be back for this game. And with Fabinho back, Matip back and staying strong and Alisson back, I think we'll win this one. I'm going 2-0 Liverpool.
Fair enough. Right.
Ian, do you want to go?
No, go on, you go.
Okay. Excuse me. Even with Liverpool's ever-growing injury list and COVID-bound list, I think it's definitely evident to say that Liverpool have invested well over the last couple of years. They do have that strength in their squad depth. I think it's going to be a comfortable 3-0 win.
Fair enough. I haven't got a camera on that one, so I won't be going there. I would say Lamberty's a big miss for Brighton this year. Brighton are playing some exciting football. I think they are playing very well. But I do... It's difficult because Liverpool, you've still got some injuries. I think Leicester played the occasion more than the match. I think Brighton will be better at playing the match. But still going forward, you've got your Manes, your Jotas, who are on blistering form at the moment. So for that reason, I've gone 3-1 to Liverpool.
It's hard to say that, isn't it, Ian?
It's not. No, it's not hard to say it, but every time I've gone Liverpool going to win, you get smashed. So he's hoping.
So you're hoping for the like me with the Arsenal.
Yeah, a little bit. No, it's a hard one because say Liverpool have improved immensely in terms of squad depth. If you'd gone 2 seasons ago and had these injuries, or even last season, I would say you would have fallen apart. But yeah. I think Fabinho's come back just at the right time. Very positionally a fantastic player. And I just can't see that. I know they've got Lallana and whatnot, and he knows a player, so it might give him a bit of insight. But I just can't see past a Liverpool win, especially with Lamberty out. If he was fit or not fit, if he was not suspended, then I think I probably would have gone for a draw because that unbelievably blistering pace down the wings. It's hard to stop, but Liverpool play incredibly high, so you're just in behind every time, and that's what Leicester got wrong yesterday. They didn't play that over the top balls or into the channels. They just played to Liverpool's strengths. So, yeah, for me, Liverpool are going to win that.
Yeah. So on to the next game, Arsenal Wolves, Mike.
This one, I'm so on the fence with it because I just don't know what Arsenal are going to turn up. Obviously, we've got Pepe now injured. We've got a few players on. Well, Elneny is COVID restricted, so he's out for 14 days from international duty. Thomas Partey's injured. I've heard as well that Williams picked up a little niggle. Saka's now picked up an injury. We don't know the extent of that yet. I personally, I think Wolves are going to dick on us. I'll be very surprised if we can get a goal, and if we do, it'll probably be a penalty. There was something stupid like it's been, what was it? They said like 8 hours since Arsenal scored it in open play. Just with what we've got going on at the moment, I can't see us winning this game, even if we have got the home advantage. I've gone for a 2-1 Wolves win.
Fair enough. Shall I go next?
Yeah, you got in. And Ian, what are your thoughts?
For me, I think Arsenal are going to start quickly. I get what you mean with not scoring in open play, but I just feel like Arteta's going to have a hot iron that in training he's going to have, and people are going to get playing. I know you said Saka has picked up a little niggle. For me, he's your most pivotal player at the moment. He's very exciting to watch. Every time he gets the ball, you're on your edge of your seat because he's always driving forward. He wants to go at goal. I can see you picking up a very early goal and then Wolves growing into the game as they do and coming back to win 3-1.
3-1.
3-1 to Wolves. Wow. I just feel like they are still a second half team to a certain extent, but they've got the ability to tear you a new one. They've got a lot of speed in there and they don't stop. So
I agree.
I think you was lucky against Leeds.
Yep.
That could have been 3 or 4. So
agree. Phil?
Myself, so I think similar to yourself, Mike, I think there's not much there and much hope for Arsenal. You're struggling to score. I do think playing against Portugal that they would go ahead, get a couple of goals, and you might actually get one somewhere in the game if Lacazette coming on and poaching one. I do think there's a good few goals in this game. I think Wolves are a strong team. I think you also have to take in fact European games of this week as well. That could have more injury results for teams. It might even change how you run out on Sunday. You've got an extra day to play for it, but in terms of not really, so you don't play till Thursday, do you?
Yes.
Yeah. So you should have 3 days to recover. So it's not that long. There might be a bit of tiredness there. So I'm going Arsenal 1, Wolves 2.
Very good. Very good.
Cool.
And then West Ham Villa. Ian, do you want to lead us?
Yep. So I know Antonio didn't play. I think he will make a comeback in this game. Whether it's from the bench or not, I don't know. I think that could be a secret weapon. 60 minutes come and legs are starting to get tired. Bringing on someone with the pace and tenacity of Mikel Antonio will cause problems for anyone. I do think that this is the game of the two most surprising teams this season. Aston Villa, I think, have surprised everybody and are playing particularly good football. Did recruit very, very well. West Ham, I don't know if this is still current information. It was as of when we played, have the best defensive record this season of any Premier League team. So with that being said, we're not shipping goals like we normally would. Aston Villa are scoring more goals than they normally would. They still have the ability to make mistakes and can be opened up, as we've seen in some games. Not the best defensively. They just, as Wolves have done, as we have done, they've kept going in games and not sort of gone, oh, we're 2-1 down, we just take the loss. They've kept going this year. So for that reason, both teams not wanting to lose, both teams playing particularly well, I've gone 2-2.
Okay.
A little bit on the fence. I don't particularly fancy either team in this game. I really don't. I would like to say confidently that we would win. If I knew that we had a fully fit team and Antonio would start, then I might lean more towards us. But there was a lot of tired looking legs on that pitch after international duty. I know it's only a week, but you've got the training in with that. You've got more. I think it's going to be a difficult game.
Yep,
totally agree. I was sitting on the fence for this one. I was originally thinking it's going to be a draw, and how can you sort of match this up? But then thinking more about the in-depth of the teams themselves, what they've got and what they've been through. I think Villa underestimated Brighton at the weekend. Maybe thought they were not the team that they should be playing against, and let them surprise them. Again, West Ham said looking leggy. They're not scoring, or not trying to score, even being able to score that many wasn't a great thing for them. Antonio, if he does come on, I think he might get a late consolation. But with this one, I'm going Villa 2-1. I think it's going to be a very close game, but I think Villa may go 2 up, and then you get a consolation later on.
Fair enough. I do agree. I think this is going to be the spectacle this week for neutrals. It's Monday night football.
Yeah,
so we'll have to get to the stadium.
I was going to say we might have to make sure we finish. In fact, is that the earlier kick or is that the late kick?
Oh, I have no idea, man. If not, we'll be doing it. We'll be doing it live, won't we? It's
you do yours, Mike.
You're,
and
you're,
I'll
you're
tell you
8 o'clock
yes,
kick-off.
8 p.m. 8 p.m.
Right. So I do kind of agree with both of you here. However, West Ham are on a bit of a positive run at the moment, as you quite rightly said, Ian. The majority of your players, this is something else that you have already alluded to, the fact that they are willing to fight until the last minute, which is something where West Ham fans, I think you would agree with me, haven't seen it that much over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Would.
However, Aston Villa have also, as you've already stated as well, they're doing better than what they have done previously. But I do think that they will want to put the loss behind them, and I do think it'll be a really good game. However, I have gone the other way, which probably means you're going to lose. I have gone for West Ham to win 2-1.
Okay.
I think out of the two clubs, you are on the better run of form. And I think some of the frailties that Aston Villa may have are now being exposed. We're a few games into the season now, and I think that West Ham will capitalise on it, and I think that you will win.
In fairness, I would quite happily have no points in our little game and take 3 points on the pitch. That's what I look at it.
That's what I'm thinking of the Arsenal.
Just go on.
So there we go. That's the predictions and the score update.
Good. Now on to any other business. I had 2 items to bring up. One of them involves your team, Mike, and I just wanted to put this to you. So, hearing squabbles of the training camp between Ceballos and David Luiz in the Arsenal squad, is this showing that there's discontentment among the team and that there's no sort of proper cohesion there yet still at Arsenal, and there's potential fractures that are causing you to have these results, these performances that aren't great, and that's causing you all this angst?
It's a good question, but I would say no. And the reason I would say that was we saw at the start of the season Dani Ceballos and Eddie Nketiah just before the game against Fulham, and there was a bit of an argy-bargy going on there. I think the players are frustrated with their run of form, but surely that should be giving them more of a kick up the backside to perform well. I think there are obviously issues at the club. We don't know what they are. The boss is very good at keeping his cards close to his chest, so we don't know, and he doesn't want to elude the fact that anything is going on.
Mm-hmm.
I would put that down to passion. Dani Ceballos was, I think, arguably our best player at the start of last season. Made it very clear to Real Madrid that he wasn't interested in any other offers. He wanted to come back to Arsenal. I think there is some frustration that he's not getting as much game time as he was previously. But I think it will come, and he will hit his best form again. But I would say that is possibly just an overzealous challenge in a training ground. With the way things are in the world, I think it's people haven't got that much freedom. I would say football players possibly may be affected by it more because literally all they're doing is home football. There's probably not a lot of downtime. Whilst they do get the break from being away from their families to go into football, it'd be like staying at home with your partner, possibly no space, you're going to butt heads eventually, aren't you? I don't necessarily say that would be an indication that there's anything massively wrong going on. I think it's just something potentially has been taken way out of context, and we're just playing shit.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think they're two very passionate players who want to win and are used to winning. And if anything, I would see that as a good thing that they're clashing, because actually that might fire up some other players to go, hang on, what's going on here? Let's get involved. The fact of not having much cohesion in the squad, I think Kieran Tierney puts that one to bed. He was ready to kill after that game. He was after Alioski and he was having it. And I think that goes to show he knows that yes, it was wrong. I think if you was to ask him, he'd go, yeah, he shouldn't do that. But in the same breath, the other stuff shouldn't have gone on as well. He shouldn't have acted as he did for it to get to that point. And the fact that he was willing to take some action after the game had finished, I think goes to show that there's a lot stronger team, a team ethic than maybe there has been previous years. Results not going right, but that I think you look like more of a team than you did.
Which is not creating anything.
Yeah.
It'll come. Hopefully, fingers crossed it'll come for you, but not when you pass next.
Keep knocking at the door, someone will open it eventually. Unless they're dead.
Yes.
And then the other thing is quite big news, and that's bringing fans back into stadiums.
Yes, massive news.
Up to 4,000. It's been rumoured and pushed around the news articles this afternoon.
They've said there is going to be, or the UK is going back into the tiered structure from December 2nd. So if you're in a tier 1, you can have up to 4,000. Tier 2, I think it's 2,000, and tier 3, I can't remember what tier 3 was off the top of my head. I think that's great news that some people are going to be allowed back in. The next headache that clubs are going to have is who do you let back in?
Yeah, because some fans will want to go to some fixtures. I mean, at West Ham, I know there's a tiered structure to season tickets. You have tier 1, the most expensive. Tier 2 is, and so on and so forth. And they also have tiered games. So you have a tier 1 game, which would be West Ham versus Man City, West Ham versus Arsenal, West Ham versus Tottenham. Tier 2 games versus the Evertons, Leicester's. Tier 3 games versus your Fulhams, your whatnot. Then you have the ones that went for like kids for £1, which is like versus your Liverpools and your.
I wonder what team they're going to come in.
I couldn't think of another team, but I would, if it was me, those tier 1 fixtures, I would give first refusal to tier 1 season ticket holders who pay the most. So they get first refusal on those ones. If they can't come, then it just disseminates out as to length of season ticket, how long you've held it for. I think that's a fair way to do it down the tiers. And then as you go down the tiers, obviously tier 2 team, so your Evertons, then your tier 2 season ticket holders get first refusal, and then it goes to the lower or the higher, and you work your way down the list again, and then tier so on and so forth. I think if you say you're going to a game and you do not turn up, you go to the bottom of the pile. You don't get first refusal on anything. You get, if no one else wants it and there's a spare seat, then you can go.
Sensible.
That's how I would do it.
I definitely think there's going to be a layering of locality as well to this, because the whole thing is you don't want to be travelling far. They don't want people travelling very far to go to games.
No.
So if you're going to be within X miles of the ground, etc., and you don't have to travel 200, 300 miles, then the chances are going to be high, I think.
But here's the thing. I know people who are Manchester United season ticket holders, have been for the last 12 years and pay thousands of pounds a year and go to every game, home or away in Europe, wherever it is in the world, they go. But they live in Essex. So they travel there and back every game, or wherever it may be. So are you saying that those people shouldn't have it over the people who are season ticket holders this year, but they only live 2 miles down the road?
Yeah. I'm saying that it's just less risk. You got the risk assessment on them both. You may well actually have to prioritise those who live close to the game to stop that from happening. And unfortunately, the Premier League, you have got fans who come from all over the place to go to see them, which is a bigger problem than your lower league teams.
I see what you mean with that, but I think that's a dangerous way to go. I think that's cause for revolt.
You might find that Essex, for example, if it's like you say Manchester, so if Manchester is tier 1 and say Essex is tier 3, are they going to approve someone travelling from a tier 1 into a tier 3? Which tier systems?
Which one's higher? Which one's more restrictive?
Tier 3.
So if you're in tier 3, you shouldn't have fans going to your games.
Yeah.
If you're in tier 1, then yes, you have selected amount of fans going to your games. They're saying about they're bringing out these tests which happen in 15 minutes. There's no reason they can't do on-site testing.
Like they would do a bag check.
Yep.
Yeah.
You think all of ours, it's what, 60,000 plus? All of our grounds? They're huge amount of spaces. They're saying there's going to be at maximum 4,000 people in there, right? So you can allocate that out to go, you need to go to there, you need to go to there, you need to go to there. You need to be wearing a mask. If you're not wearing a mask, you're not coming in. If you're not social distancing, you're not coming in. You know? And at that point, right, do your swabs, do your things. Make sure you're there early because the doors are closing at this point and you all need to have a test beforehand. They take 15 minutes each. Holding bays, thank you very much. There's enough space in there to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think how many times is 4,000 going at 60?
It's about 1 in 20. I'd say between 1 and 20. It's roughly 1 in 20.
There's over 20 gates in West Ham to get round as you go in for bag checks. So there's enough space there to that's then looking at what?
Yeah, you've got
a couple of hundred people per gate. If you can't do that,
I think that's the idea behind it. I think even with, sorry to kind of get sidetracked slightly.
Yeah, go on.
But even seeing these small number of people coming into grounds, I think it's going to make a massive difference to players and to people being able to go to games and stuff. It's going to be, I think, with the size and the capacity of the stadium, with the amount of people that you're going to have coming in, granted, there's not going to be that much noise, but my God, is it going to feel good having to switch off the fake crowd noise and get the real crowd noise? Because 4,000 people, they will make some noise.
Oh, yeah. Here's my question. Here's my question is, if you get 4,000 people in, you're going to say 3,999 of those people are going to be reasonable people, everyday people. I would say you're going to get one of them in every game that is going to be an idiot. And by an idiot, I mean a racist, someone shouting obscenities, and you're going to hear all that. So it should be easier to comb those people out and ban them from football indefinitely. But how much of that do you think we will see or hear more prevalently picked up on the mics because the grounds are so quiet, because you can hear every word said, and I think they do try and mute some of it, but you can hear players effing and blinding at each other. You can hear managers cursing at players when they're not doing what they want them to do. So how much of that are you going to hear from the crowd? Because we all know going to a football game there is some colourful language from all peoples of all corners of the earth, all races, all creeds. Some of it is quite amusing and factually correct. Others of it is quite horrific.
I just miss the songs. That's what I miss hearing. The songs.
I think Ian's trying to make a point about what do you do with the scumbags that
What do you do? Do you, at that point do you go?
Stop Chelsea fans from going to games, and that will help.
Do you tar everyone with the same brush and go? Communities need to police itself. Do you try and pull out individuals? Do you go?
It'd be easy to point out individuals, wouldn't it? If there's only 4,000 and Mike's there. There's always, they were talking about this last season or
face coverings
before this lockdown is
face coverings, exactly. If you're wearing a face covering,
but then you know who's in each seat. If you're doing tests and everything,
how do you know who shouted?
Who's in the ground?
Who do you know who shouted?
Where?
How do you know who shouted? Why do players do this when they're talking on TV? So you can't see what they're saying.
Yeah,
I like what you're saying, and and this is definitely going to come down.
I hate you all. Phil said that. I didn't. No proof. It's. And
I think that's going to come down to, and you hit the nail on the head there. That it's going to have to be down to policing it within the stadium itself. As in, if another fan hears it, they're going to have to point it out to some stewards or whatever and say, he was saying this.
Yeah, man.
Reporting to the police, depending on what.
I do think the only way to get that done though is by saying, if this happens while you are in the stadium, then that's it. It's revoked. Your season ticket is revoked indefinitely because it's down to you to help us sort it out. And I think at that point, people would go, "Hang on, I've had this for 30 years. He ain't ruining it for me. Get him out."
I suppose it'd be very hard though, if depending on the location of the fans within the stadium.
Yep.
For someone sitting in row Z, up in the gods or whatever, to be able to hear or point out that it was someone pitch side, row 1, seat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's
but then it's down to the other people.
It gives you
facility.
Yeah. I do think it's a very difficult problem, and unfortunately, I think it's one that's fallen to the wayside. Players are still taking a knee. When you look at them on the pitch now, they're all looking at each other, going, "Why are we doing this still?" I think it's a bit of a pointless cause at the moment. You think with all the uproar with the Sainsbury's advert, but
it's lost its cause big time.
They're doing that, yet it's still going to come back into the game, isn't it? There's always there's always going to be one person to ruin it for everyone.
The majority,
yeah. Yeah.
But, we actually had a sensible conversation that hasn't gone on farts, boobies, or bum cracks. I think I need to bring that in just to restore some normality into us. There you go. Farts, boobies, and bum cracks. Hashtag. That is the word this week.
What is it?
Hashtag farts, boobies, and bum cracks. I know that's a really long hashtag, and possibly no one's going to give a crap, but yeah.
Any other business from you two? Anything else that you'd like to bring to our faithful viewers' attention? Or even our attention?
No, I would just like to say, if you haven't, our 100 video, that was such good fun. Putting all of that together, seeing some of the daft stuff that we've got up to over the last year. We do really appreciate you guys coming along for the journey with us. If you have enjoyed it, please share it about, like, and subscribe. Leave us a comment, not just the stupid hashtags that we throw in every week. Your feedback is very much appreciated. Obviously, given the circumstances as well, if there's anything that you would like us to do, if there's anything you'd like us to throw in or discuss,
wow, chicka, wow. That shoulder movement.
We've got our Twitter handles just below us. Drop us a comment on there with anything you want to discuss or you want us to do, obviously within reason. Yeah, that's what I would say from me.
I've got nothing.
I want us all.
Tonight.
I'm a bit like.
I want us all to eat a pie.
I'm in team meeting mode. You know, you just want it to be over. You're just like, and then you look at the person next to you. It's like, don't you dare say anything. Don't you ask a question. No, I've got nothing to add. Nothing relevant either. So I've got lots of irrelevant things I can add, but no one wants to hear that.
Well, thank you all. You can catch us on your normal podcast streaming application or
wherever you
software.
consume podcasts, we are there.
Yeah. And also on YouTube, if you want to see our faces.
A lot of people consume podcasts on YouTube.
Interesting fact. Until next time, I have been Phil.